So your friend has Lyme disease and you're trying to figure out what it is and how to be there for them. But it's easier to do that if you have a basic understanding of the disease and what people with it go through. So I'm going to try to fill in the blanks and give my opinion on how to be the best, most supportive friend to someone with Lyme. Before I go into anything else, I think it's really crucial to address the fact that no one really wants to talk about sickness. No one really wants to hear about your illness and what you've been through and how it affects you, because it makes them really uncomfortable and it makes the whole environment and atmosphere change. It dampens the mood, and it's just not something that's easy to talk about. It's not something that, you know, is light conversation. It's not something that is glamorous or fun or great to hear about. And I think that's the main issue. I think that's why it's so hard for people to understand, and I think that's why it's so hard for people with Lyme to get it off their chest and really explain themselves, partly because we're so tired of doing it and we're so tired of explaining it and justifying it again and again all the time, that it's hardest to do to the people we're close to. It's hardest to do to our family and our friends, and we want you to understand, and we assume that you can because we live and we breathe this illness. But then on the other hand, you know, there's no way you could really get it. That's not being critical, that's just to say, if you don't live this way, then it's very, very hard to grasp. But I think it's so important to be honest about how you're feeling and be honest about, you know, the circumstance and how you feel that day. And it's not always going to make people happy, and it's not going to be what people want to hear. But to have any sort of understanding and to have any open dialogue and for any chance of, you know, people without Lyme to understand what you go through, it's absolutely important to be honest. I think those of us with Lyme all share the desire to help our loved ones and friends understand this disease more easily, so we don't have to give the tedious explanation every time. I'm going to try to give the tedious explanation in the hope that it'll maybe be a little bit easier to understand, or at least grasp, and be a little more empathetic and understanding, if nothing else, just to maybe get a glimpse of what your friend goes through daily. I understand it would be very hard for a healthy person to understand the life of a sick person, just as it's hard for us to remember what healthy life is like. But the simplest way I could describe it, and the simplest way I think to wrap your head around it, is imagine how you felt on your worst day, whether it was the flu or mono or food poisoning, whatever had you down for the count, out of touch with the world, under your covers, curled in the fetal position. That's pretty safe to say that's how we feel on a day-to-day basis. The pain and misery and fear that comes with feeling so horrible and not knowing if this is going to end, and not knowing you know, when it's going to end, that's how most people with Lyme live. And the next best thing to understanding fully, which we don't blame you for, obviously, if you can't. It's something that is so complex and so mystifying. The disease is really hard to understand when you have it, so to ask someone who doesn't have it to get inside our heads and this crazy life is a lot to ask, and no one blames you for not being able to even understand it and what it's like. The next best thing to that is just compassion and empathy, and, you know, taking a leap of faith and believing, based on your friendship with this person, based on your relationship with this person that you love, this person that is still there, very much so, but just sicker, to just believe them. There are a couple things you shouldn't do, a couple things you shouldn't say to a friend with Lyme. These are things that have all been said to me many times. They've been said to everyone with Lyme. We've heard them, we've cried over them, and we really don't want to hear them again. The first one being, you look great, because that implies that we feel great and that there's some sense of doubt and that we're making this up. It almost always is from people who mean well and their intentions are pure and they want to make you feel better by saying you look good. But I don't think people know how we take it and how it's come to take on a different meaning for us. The second one is just understanding that just because someone had to drop out of school or had to quit their job or stopped running in your circle doesn't mean they don't exist. It doesn't mean that we chose this. It doesn't mean that we wanted to be antisocial. It doesn't mean that we didn't like you. It doesn't mean that we decided that we needed to change and we just wanted to stay home for 2 years. We're still here. We're still the same people. We just got sick. And if we couldn't keep up with you, it wasn't because we didn't love you. It wasn't because we didn't miss you. It was simply because we were too sick to pick up the phone. People with Lyme already feel different. We probably have a PICC line in one arm. We need pain meds just to make it out of the house. We can only drink mineral water. We're probably on some really obscure diet that you think is bizarre. We already get that we're strange. We already get that we're different. We don't want, to draw attention to it. We don't want you to treat us any differently. We're the same friend, and we want you to be the same friend. If anything, friends with Lyme just require a little bit more understanding. It'll take a little bit more time to do things they used to, and above all, they just want more empathy and the same friend that you always were. Anyone and everyone with Lyme has a newfound gratefulness and appreciation just for the people that stick by them and the friends that are with them for the good days and the bad days. And that is really all someone with Lyme could ask for.